Hey, Gavin.
Hey, Louie. How are you?
Oh, hanging in there with the rest of us. Everyone, we're all hanging in there.
Yeah, that seems to be. We're all like those little cats on that on those feel-good posters, just hanging on that tree branch,
just hanging on,
just really hoping somebody will help us.
Avril Lavigne, keep holding on.
Yes,
that's an embarrassing reference.
I wouldn't expect any less from you.
Thank you. Our listeners wouldn't expect any less. They know what they're getting when they listen to the Mixed Reviews. Welcome, everyone, to the Mixed Reviews.
We are a podcast, a film podcast, in which we take a film subject such as an actor, a director, or a mini-genre, and we cut it down to bare bones. We give you a full history, and we tell you what's good and what's not so good.
Yeah, we, are a little off our schedule just because of everything that is happening right now.
Current events are a lot. They're a lot for a lot of people. I don't know. Maybe this is not my place as the resident white man on the podcast but
it's my turn.
It's your turn.
No, I just, me and Gavin decided earlier or a couple days ago, we should postpone recording, and all this is kind of sucks, and truly our hearts, and we're going to go straight to what I want to say. I think what we can do, me and Gavin, neither of us are Black. We are both queer people. I'm a queer person of color. We stand with the protesters, and Black lives do fucking matter. Gavin
Absolutely.
and I have not talked about this specifically, but Gavin, I was thinking on behalf of the Mixed Reviews, we could make a donation to Act Blue, which will spread out some money to some really great organizations like Reclaim the Block, National Bailout, Campaign Zero, the Marshall Project, and others. Both me and Gavin are very lucky to have day jobs, whether we enjoy them or not.
I told you not to tell them.
But we are very lucky to still have them. And so I was thinking, Gavin, both you and me can give $50 and $100 in the name of the Mixed Reviews can go out there to support, what's going on right now. It's serious and it matters. And I just think everyone, and oh God, I'm getting emotional. We all can do what we can do, And I think
if you cry, I'll cry. Don't do it.
All I'm going to say is, I think it's been really hard on a lot of people saying, like, what can I do? How can I help? And the answer is the only wrong thing is staying silent.
Absolutely.
So if you can't go outside because there is a pandemic happening, give what you can. So whether it's $5, $10, $100, whatever it is, do that and just listen, be mindful, and helpful to your Black friends and family. That being said, so yeah, me and Gavin are going to do that after the show.
To any of you out there who are not a person of color, obviously, as Louis said, the worst thing you can do right now is to not do anything. But it is very much a moment to listen and to learn. And that's a really important part of this. And as Louis said, donate. There are so many good places to donate. Act Blue, which we're going to be putting our money towards, it lets you donate to several causes. It's really great. Just do your research and make sure that you're doing everything you can not to harm or get in the way of these protesters as well. And if you can protest, like, I'm not asking you to go out and get hurt, but like, lend yourself, but also be safe. Yeah. I'm an immunocompromised person. I would love to go out. I'm still thinking about going out tomorrow, which is a dangerous thought, but like, things need to happen. So
right. Yeah. And so there's that. We don't want to be a downer on anything. And, we're here to talk about movies, which, have always been kind of an escape. And we're also very lucky today, though, because we get to talk about a great American Black actress who we picked before any of this happened. We picked her, 2.5 weeks ago. So let's celebrate her. Let's celebrate great Black acting in America. And, Black Lives Matter.
Absolutely. Black Lives Matter.
So, Gavin, who are we talking about today?
So we're talking about Angela Bassett. But before we get into the wonderful, the amazing, the iconic Miss Bassett, we got to have a little chat about some old business.
We do have some old business. I did not put up the poll in time, so Gavin played some defense and picked it up for me.
I understand. On Friday, you were like, Chromatica dropped. I'm not doing shit.
I was very busy. My enemy is me. But our last episode with Brandon T. Snyder, who we love so much, we talked about Christopher Guest films. And so we asked you guys to go online and vote for your favorite film. In last place, this has never happened, I don't think, with 0%, The Big Picture.
Yeah. Which just tells me that most people haven't seen it. I genuinely had never heard of it going into.
Same.
But it's a very good movie. Yeah.
That was my pick, but it's a good movie. 15% for A Mighty Wind, 32.5% for Waiting for Guffman, which was both yours and Brandon's pick, and then in 52.5%, Best in Show, which I think is correct, like his most popular movie.
Yes.
And it's I would definitely say one of my favorites as well.
It's so good, and I genuinely went into that episode thinking that I was going to pick Best in Show, but something about listening to Brandon wax poetically about Waiting for Guffman, it turned me in the last minute.
Yep, she got you.
Yeah, exactly. Like a Talbot staring at a full moon. I was gone. That's a werewolf joke for all the nerds in our audience.
All you werewolves out there.
Yeah.
Do we have any more old business, or are we good?
No, I think we're good. So let's move on.
Okay.
To Angela
Let's
Bassett.
move on. Angela Bassett. Gavin, I'm so excited. It's just you and me now. You know, we've had a couple of guests the last couple episodes.
Great, by the way. Don't downput their effort. Yeah, they were fantastic.
No, I can leave them without them. Don't need them. Bye-bye. Oh, also, I'm just kidding, guys. I love you so much. I also want to thank everyone who's been joining us for our mixed reviews watch parties.
Yes.
Last Wednesday we watched The Matrix.
Yeah, and it was a good crowd. And I know that's like a film that everybody has seen. And it was so much fun to be able to get together with a group of like-minded people and just sort of both dissect it and take the piss out of it a bit, and both worship it and be like, this is silly. But
I think it was like, I think at one point I said, God, The Matrix is fucking cool. Ugh.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? Not wrong.
Yeah. It maintains. It holds up.
So, Gavin, why did we choose Angela Bassett? I'm trying to think. Did I bring her up? Did you bring her up?
I think you brought her up. But she's been on the list for a while. I will say, we are still in the midst, with everything that's going on, we're still in the midst of a pandemic. Mm-hmm. We're both New York City residents, so New York City has not opened. We've not even entered stage 1 of reopening.
No.
We're in a hot zone. So nothing's coming out. No movies are coming out. And so it's easier for us to do these people that don't necessarily have a new thing coming out, but that we've always really loved. And I think what's great about Angela Bassett is she represents this thing in my brain, just this strength, this pillar. She is a strong presence whenever she's on screen, and just a powerhouse performer.
Yeah.
And so as soon as you said, I was like, yes. Like, I need to. And what's funny is I don't know if her career has served her as good as her talent is.
You know what? It was funny. I was just thinking that, like, before we hopped on the Zoom, because I just literally, like, minutes ago finished Malcolm X. And I got to thinking, she has been called upon to play some of the, like, pillars of Black women in American society. And I got to thinking, she's so revered and beloved in the African American community. And it's because, she's played Tina Turner. She's played Coretta Scott King. She played Malcolm X's wife. What's her name?
Dr. Betty Shabazz.
Yes. Thank you, Gavin. She, is Queen Ramonda in Black Panther.
She played Rosa Parks, too. Yes. So, like, yeah. She's like covering all the bingo spaces.
Yeah. And so I agree with you. I think we talked a couple days ago and I was like, oh man, she really deserves such so much more from Hollywood. But at the same time, she has really crafted herself quite a career that, is also, in addition to those historical figure roles, she also has made these movies that are just like the foundation for a lot of Black Hollywood, like Waiting to Exhale, Boys in the Hood, How Stella Got Her Groove Back. It's, she is honestly like this beacon of what a Black Hollywood career could be, but also, I think she's so powerful and so good that both of us are like, she deserves more.
Oh, absolutely.
Because when you get her in those really amazing movies, you're like, fuck yes. Why aren't there more of these? Because there's also so many of them that just do not serve her at all.
And I would also argue that more often than not, when she's cast in a film, she elevates a bad movie. Mm-hmm. I watched plenty of films that did not deserve her, in which she was giving 1,010%. And
absolutely.
And not in a way that's not in a showy way, not in a way that you're like, oh, she's eating the scenery, she's pulling focus. She always finds a way to serve the material, even if the material is not serving her. And I think that's a really fascinating thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of... she takes a lot of interesting turns also. The 90s is very big for her, the late 90s. And she has gone from big Oscar-y movies. Now, I mean, she's literally on Fox right now on Ryan Murphy's show, 911. So it's like she has, I mean, one thing I think I heard her say in an interview, she's like, listen, I'm a working actress, okay? I just need to keep working. She says she doesn't audition much anymore.
Right.
But, and literally while she said that she auditioned for, the last thing she auditioned for was a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. And she didn't get it. And I was like, you know what, honey, you dodged a bullet, okay?
Yeah. Talk about a sinking ship. That's a pirate joke.
But
sorry, I'm off my game today.
Oh no, this is the level of jokes that you have all the time, Gavin. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, good. It's good to get this feedback.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been really interesting. And also, I gotta say, like, Gavin and I both have been talking about, like, our heads are like in weird spaces right now. It's hard to kind of like focus. And I will say even more, she has a lot of movies that, I watched Chirac yesterday. Yeah. And I was like, okay. Watched Malcolm X today. I was like, okay. Like, it's just, she's in a lot of these movies that are about the Black experience and about a lot about what's happening right now, and that speaks more to our fucking country than anything. But, it just seems like everywhere I turned in watching her movies, I was seeing what we're still dealing with. So yeah, it was exciting to go through her work though. I mean, she is quite the filmography.
Absolutely. So why don't we get into her rewind and give people an idea about her background and her career?
Let's do it.
Angela Evelyn Bassett Vance was born. What a name.
What a name.
Yeah. Was born August 16th, 1958, which makes her 61. Which, like...
Me and Gavin are both, like, eye-rolling.
Yeah, like...
to the moon.
Yeah. Cool. What's it like to stop aging at 38?
Yeah, she could literally play 35 to 60, and I'd be like, yep, that's correct.
Yep, correct. Exactly. Uh-huh.
When there are movies where, like, she was, like, the mom character, like, Jumping the Broom.
Yeah.
I was like, you are this woman's mother? You are this woman's mother. All right. I'll see about that. I want to see the receipts, honey, because it just takes you... Or literally, I was like, there's no way that this mom has a grown woman, like, child who is getting married right now. Anyway, I digress.
Yeah, that movie, by the way. lots of stuff in that movie. So she was born in New York City. She's the daughter of Betty Jane and Daniel Benjamin Bassett. And she was raised in Harlem. So she's a Harlem girl.
She's a New York girl.
Yeah. I feel a kinship.
Just like us.
Just like us. Born and raised.
Both of us famously New Yorkers.
Famously. Correct. The origin of the Bassett surname, and I'm giving this to you guys for context because especially after this week, like, I don't know. All this stuff seems important, but the origin of the Bassett surname comes from her great-grandfather, William Henry Bassett, who took the surname of his former slave owner.
Wow.
So about 10 months after she's born, her mother becomes pregnant with a second child, Bassett's sister, Danette. And her mom said, pregnancy only made things harder for her. And so she shipped her off to stay with her father's sister, Golden Bassett. I've heard her talk about Golden Bassett in interviews, and she basically, she stayed with her for a really long time. And there was talk of them giving her essentially to Golden because she didn't have a child herself.
The saying later goes that my aunt told me is that she was supposed to raise me, but she didn't, not to adopt me, but she was to raise me because they never had children themselves. They weren't able to. So I moved there. My mother was having my younger sister. She was my father. They were, volatile, relationship at the time. And so she was leaving. She was like, we're leaving your daddy. He was like, get back in the house, But finally she did. I remember getting a call when I was young because I would always try to call my auntie mom. When you're a baby, you look for father, mother, and I would go, mommy, but she was always clear with me. I'm not your mom. You have a mommy. I'm not your mommy. She was very clear. She didn't try to, take that road. And I would get mad because I wanted a mommy, So I remember getting a call one day and it was like, hi, Angela, this is your mommy. I'm coming to get you. And I remember hanging up going, I don't have a mommy. And hanging up, next thing I know, and she's at the door and I'm, picked up and swiftly off to St. Petersburg, Florida,
where she and her sister Danette were raised by her mother.
Angela has said before that her mother was a pretty, traditional militant, mother who was very like by the book and very, just unforgiving. Was going to make sure that she like raised her with an iron fist and said, if you're going to do something, do it all the way. And, I think maybe a little bit different than what she was, used to with her aunt. Because I think she thought her aunt was a little bit more warm and loving. And this is not any shade on her mom. I don't know that relationship or what happened with them. But she has said that her biological mother was very hard.
Angela doesn't see her father again for several years. In fact, she doesn't see him again until her grandmother's funeral. And at that funeral, she finds out she has a sister from her father's previous marriage, who's 12 years old, which is many years older than Angela herself. In 1970, she started attending middle school. This is the first year busing was implemented to integrate public schools in St. Petersburg, Florida. I just want you guys to think about that for a moment. 1970 was when they began busing students for the first time to integrate a school in Florida.
Yeah.
That's barely 60 years ago, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's crazy. We lived in a fucked up country. We still live in a fucked up country. After completing 7th grade, she was bused to Azalea Middle School for 8th and 9th grade. During this time, as you mentioned, her mother gets a little stricter and she becomes very involved in her daughter's grades and told her and her sister that they were both going to college. In high school, Bassett was a cheerleader and a member of Upward Bound, college prep program, the debate team, student government, drama club, and choir. She was basically an overachiever. She became a straight A and B student for the most part. She got her first C in physical education.
Wow. Wow. That's crazy because literally every movie you see her, she is cut up.
Oh my
jacked.
God. Her fucking arms and What's Love Got to Do with It?
Her arms in every movie.
I was obsessed. And then there's a bit at the end where it shows a real concert with Tina Turner. And I've seen that movie before, but like my brain, and I was just like, oh wow, she's even more like Tina's pretty jacked as well. But I was like, damn.
I mean, it's like, did God invent clavicles for Angela Bassett? Because literally, it's that thing like, do you remember way back at the beginning of the season of Drag Race when Jada like took off that thing and it was like shoulders and clavicles? I was like, it's that same thing. And for whatever reason, like literally Black women just have just the most gorgeous shoulders and clavicles
Wonderful.
of the human race.
I don't particularly love to work out, but I know that it's important for me. I also have been told by doctors that my body type, my makeup, my genetics loves fitness, so I should give that to myself.
So, as you mentioned, mother, a little strict. She tried to get her mother, not to feel disappointment in her, and she told her mother C is an average grade. And her mother said back to her, I do not have average kids.
Oof.
So she described a sense of pride in her developing from that, and she never got another C until college. During high school, Bassett became the first Black person from Boca Ciega to be admitted to the National Honor Society. So, hard work. Totally, does everything she can to make sure her mom will be proud of her and she can get into a good school. Guess where she ends up going? She goes fucking Yale.
Ever heard of it?
She receives a BA degree in African American Studies in 1980, and then in 1983 she earned her MFA degree at the Yale School of Drama. Her aunt Golden didn't want her to go to drama school. Told her many times that she was wasting her Yale education on theater. But in the end, Angela Bassett is the only family member to have gone both to college and graduate school. Also, I love this, and I feel like not enough people talk about this. While at Yale's School of Drama, she meets her future husband, Courtney B. Vance.
Let's talk about power couples, okay?
Oh, my God.
Holy shit! Like, when I don't think I knew this. I might have, like, seen them on a red carpet or two, but, like, just seeing pictures of them together. This is, like, these two powerful actors who, like, are so good at what they do and who also, like, mind their business and, like, are never problematic. Like,
no. Never making a tabloid, never.
No.
And the funny thing is, too, when you see them in interviews, it's so sweet and so it's like a young couple who's like flirting with each other. And weirdly enough, I feel like he plays these sort of contemplative, less strong characters when he acts. I mean, he clearly has a passion when he acts, but they're usually a little understated, and she is such a presence. When they're in interviews together, I feel like it's reverse. He's like gregarious and funny, and she's kind of like, oh babe.
Yeah, she's always like, oh, Courtney, stop. Like, you're embarrassing us on Oprah, please.
Exactly.
And he's just like fun dad character,
Yeah, exactly. The funny thing is he does not remember meeting her in college. Not until years. Yeah, I know. Shots,
if you
right?
can see me, my mouth is agape.
I do most definitely remember him.
I don't remember her at all, really.
He was tall, lish, dark, skinny, and just alluring.
I don't have a clue. I don't remember her at all.
Years later, they do a play together. He was dating one of the other actresses in the play. The way it goes.
Sorry, girl.
The way it goes. See ya. After graduation, Bassett worked as a receptionist for a beauty salon and as a photo researcher. She began looking for acting work in the New York theater. In 1985, she appeared in J.E. Franklin's Black Girl at Second Stage Theater. She appeared in 2 August Wilson plays, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and Joe Turner's Come and Gone. And these sort of really launch her career. But it's not an easy road, and she really pays her dues. In 85, she makes her first television appearance as a sex worker in the TV movie Double Take. And she makes her film debut as a news reporter in the movie FX, which is a movie I loved as a kid. I have no idea if it holds up because I was not going to watch an entire film for a news reporter scene with Angela Bassett.
I have never seen this movie, don't know what it is.
Oh, it's fun stuff.
But I have seen her second movie.
In 1990, after moving to LA, she appears in a little indie film called Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, she has this like, I found like this thing where she's like recalling all of her roles, and she's like, oh, when I remember Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was very studious. He was reading that script, and I was like, girl, for the movie Kindergarten Cop,
he was really struggling to read that script.
Yeah. She said she got paid $750 for her like one little scene as a I think she was an airline stewardess.
Yes, yeah. She's a. And so, real quick, did she know just from working with him on that film that he was going to solve racism?
You know what? Yes.
yeah, exactly. Good. Thank God for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Mm-hmm.
But I say that with sarcasm. Yeah, I get it. He has a donkey. We all love him now. Whatever. But in 1991, she makes the film that is really her breakout performance, and that's Boys in the Hood.
Yes.
She, it's John Singleton's first film. We have talked about this before. We talked about it in our Regina King episode.
One of my favorites.
It's a really amazing movie. I love Angela Bassett's role. And
love her role and love this movie because it truly is just like a groundswell of like young Black talent. And like
Absolutely.
At the beginning of the 90s, John Singleton, just chef's kiss.
And literally the way that he cast this was he basically began asking people that he knew or had met doing minor film work and roles. Like he cast Lawrence Fishburne because he was working as a production assistant and a security guard on Pee-wee's Playhouse, where Lawrence Fishburne was playing Cowboy Curtis.
Amazing.
He wrote Ice Cube's role with Ice Cube in mind while he was working as an intern at the Arsenio Hall show. So like, it is interesting to see how he got all these actors together. Bassett, like I said, it's her first major film role. But she really took to John Singleton. She referred to him as her little brother on set. And she said, quote, "I'd been in LA for about 3 years and I was trying to do films. We talked, I auditioned, and he gave me a shot. I've been waiting to work with him ever since. Unfortunately, as many of you know, John Singleton passed away a couple of years ago. And a true loss of an artist. The rest of his career maybe didn't pan out as much as the promise of Boys in the Hood presented, but I don't know. He died very much too young, and
yeah, I mean, and he like that's truly a lost artist that deserved better from the industry, deserved better from everyone, because yeah.
Her next big role is in 1992's Malcolm X, which is a Spike Lee film. It is a long movie, but it is well worth your time. I will say, if we're talking negatives, I know you just finished it, Louis. If we're talking negatives, she plays Dr. Betty Shabazz, who is Malcolm X's wife, as well as a civil rights activist herself. And yeah, I think the movie doesn't do a lot for that character, unfortunately. But, it's more about Malcolm. So.
Right. I mean, the movie, we probably won't talk about this movie again, but I will say it is long. It kept me hooked though the entire time.
Oh, it's amazing.
And I will say by the end of it, it's an emotional roller coaster. And at the end, there is, God, why am I forgetting? Nelson Mandela has a cameo, and he's saying a speech by Malcolm X. And when I realized, the camera's kind of far at first, and then it zooms in slowly, and I'm like, that's Nelson Mandela, holy fuck. And then I found myself like on the verge of tears, because it's like, I can only imagine Spike Lee asking Nelson Mandela to, talk and be in this movie and say, I don't know, it is this whole trinity of like Black superheroes coming together in this very emotional movie. It's, if you haven't watched it, it's worth your watch.
During production of Malcolm X, Spike Lee played Bassett a tape of the exact moment of when Malcolm X was shot during the assassination, because they'd be filming the scene and she'd get a better idea of what was going through Dr. Betty Shabazz's what she was going through, seeing her husband die. Bassett called the recording haunting, but noted after listening she was able to grab a hold of the pain and recreate it.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy thing.
She has like a couple like really good scenes, and I think the one of her confronting Malcolm about, where is all the money going? And like, is the nation really going to be there to help them?
Sweetheart, you gotta help me.
I'm trying to help
I'm
you.
raising our children practically by myself.
And what am I doing?
All over the country.
What do you want me to do, Betty? What do you want me to do? You want me
You
to
don't
stay
know how
home?
many times
Do you
they
want
ask
me to
me,
stay
Mommy,
here
where's
and
my
cook the
daddy?
food?
I want my daddy
Do you
to
want me to
tuck
make
me
the
in.
beds and
Where's
do
my
everything?
daddy?
Go on the road?
We
These people
need you. We need you.
I need you too, but what do you want me to do? Just tell me. What do you want me to do?
You can face death 24 hours a day, but the possibility of betrayal never enters your head. Open your eyes.
She's acting up against Denzel Washington, like maybe like the greatest, actor of our generation, and she's holding her own and she's fucking killing it. And it's and she's playing a really complicated character up against another very complicated character. And I was just thinking, like, damn, and that's kind of like it flipped the switch when, like you were saying, like she deserves more roles and chances like this instead of doing, like fucking Olympus Has Fallen. Like, it's those, I'm sure, a great check, and I mean she's fine, but like they're certainly not challenging her like this type of material is. And I think you and me are both like kind of recognize like she can handle it. She's an actress that can handle the stuff, and so when you see her doing like other kind of lesser fare more often, it's disappointing.
She earns an Image Award for this movie, and it's highly deserved. And once again, this is 92. This is the year after she makes her first big film. So that's a huge thing. Also in 92, she plays Katherine Jackson in The Jacksons: An American Dream. If you've ever accidentally left your channel changer on VH1, you've seen this movie.
Especially like it might have been like 1995. Like, yeah. They were always playing this on VH1.
I think I've seen this movie 1,000 times.
Yeah.
She loved the Jacksons growing up so much that she didn't really care that the movie kind of presented a negative view of the Jacksons' family life, because she was like, I don't know, I love them.
Just happy to be here.
I'm just happy to be here. And the roles just keep coming in really early on in her career, because in 93 she plays Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It.
Yeah, that's her like really big break. That's the one that like put her on the map, because she's the lead, and also it's fucking Tina Turner.
Yeah.
And she got a fucking Oscar nomination.
She, everybody and their mother auditioned for this role. She beat out Halle Berry and Robin Givens. She was only cast a month before they started shooting, which is why she is dubbed by Tina herself in the film when she sings. Now, I do want to get to this, because I've seen many an interview where Miss Bassett herself has said that she's not very good at singing, but she would have given it a shot if there'd been more than a month to prepare.
Right.
And I love the fact that she's like, I'm game. But she says, she's good at dancing, she's great at acting, not so much the singing.
And she also says, that shoot was exhausting and hard. And she said that she would stay up just listening to his records over and over just so she could really get the breath work down. And she was like, I wanted to be very convincing that, they wouldn't have to edit so much around her performance. Because there's like some really long set pieces in there where she's performing on these shows, and it's her running up and down and singing.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine? Like, and she said she was like sore she's like, there were no easy days shooting this film.
I believe it.
I believe it.
I remember how strenuous and arduous it was, physically, but also emotionally. Every day it was like, you had to just go in so deep emotionally in 3 months. And usually it takes 9 months to a year between finishing a movie and it being sweetened and edited and put together and then presented. But it was 3 months later to coincide with her world tour.
Unbelievable.
It was crazy.
Yes.
But we did it.
She only got to meet Tina Turner twice, but they were prolonged meetings. Tina did her makeup for one of the scenes.
Oh my God, Gavin, that interview that she talks about it. Oh, yeah. It's so good.
She called her supportive and her biggest fan. Tina Turner has since decided she doesn't like the film very much. But
Really? She said that?
Oh, yeah. She said she's never watched it. She's tried. She's never made it through. And she says it's basically full of lies. That it's not.
Really?
But it's all based off her memoir, I, Tina. But there are definitely some some big facts changed, but
do you know what they are?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like
Tell me.
things like Tina Turner's first child is not Ike Turner's son. He's the son of a member of the band. The scene where he rapes her apparently never happened.
In the fish tank
in the
thing?
recording, in the recording studio.
That scene is so hard to watch.
It's hard,
but she's so good.
She's very good in it, and then Lawrence Fishburne is very good in it.
Lawrence Fishburne is very good.
Obviously, Ike Turner denies everything in the movie, but
But fuck him.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that about. I mean, I guess I'm not like a fucking Tina scholar, but
but yeah, so it's an interesting relationship that Tina Turner has with our movie. I mean, obviously, like we've talked about film adaptations before. In the Tim Burton episode, I mentioned how much I love Ed Wood, even though it's a pack of lies.
Liar.
But like, I don't know. I think this is a really amazing performance and a really great movie and an interesting movie as well. There's some script issues, I would say, but I think the structure of it's really amazing and the way it sort of plays with the film formats as well. But she does earn an Academy Award nomination, as you mentioned.
Yes, she wins the Golden Globe, I believe.
She does, and she becomes the first Black woman to win the Golden Globe for Best Actor.
Crazy.
Oh my God, I mean it. Thank you, God. I want to say hi, Mama, I love you. Thank my mother, my entire family, all my wonderful friends, Mr. Lloyd Richards and the Yale School of Drama, my agents, Ambrosio Mortimer, the greatest co-star I could ever imagine, Mr. Lawrence Fishburne. I love you, Lawrence. Thank you. And lastly, to the most generous national treasure I've ever had the pleasure of encountering and portraying, Miss Tina Turner, wherever you are tonight. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And she wins it in the musical comedy category, which is bonkers.
Because what's love got to do with it? Hilarious.
Yeah, definitely a musical, definitely a comedy. Like, even the musical moments are like, what? Because I think there's a couple of things happening here. The 90s are really her time. She plays, at the beginning of her, of when she's breaking through, she's playing a lot of these real people. And then because the 90s are a fucking weird time, like I was watching Strange Days earlier, and I was like, the 90s were fucking crazy. Yeah. Like, we really thought that the future was going to fucking end us all. And you know what? They were right. They were right.
But then they also thought the future was going to happen in like 5 years.
Yeah.
And that was their mistake. No, it's going to take us an extra 25 years to end it all. Thank you.
But like, she plays a lot of sci-fi thriller things come to her in a couple of years.
It's funny because in 95 she does Vampire in Brooklyn, Strange Days, and Waiting to Exhale. You mentioned Vampire in Brooklyn in our Vampires on Film episode.
It's very silly. It's fun.
Yeah. And I actually think I hadn't seen it in a long time. I think she actually has really good chemistry with Eddie Murphy. I think that's one of the best parts of that movie.
Yeah, sexy vampire, check, got it. Yeah, she's nailed it.
Strange Days, as you mentioned, I really like. My negative watching it for Angela Bassett is, anytime she's like pining for Ray Fiennes, I'm like, girl, you can do better.
Right.
Like I would watch a spin-off film of her character without Ray Fiennes, and he's good in the movie, but he's such a loser. It's just like
he is a loser.
This is your life, right here, right now. It's real time. You hear me? Real time. Time to get real, not playback. You understand me? She doesn't love you anymore. Maybe she did once, I don't know, but she doesn't now. These are used emotions. It's time to trade them in. Memories were meant to fade, Lenny. They're designed that way for a reason.
Have you ever been in love with someone who didn't return that love?
Yeah, Lenny.
I think this movie is so fucking weird. And the whole time I was like, oh my God, I bet you, and let's go with me here. I was like, because literally, I don't know how many times we had to see Juliette Lewis's boobs in this movie, but we did. It's
never enough, Louis.
I know. And all I can think of was like, did did 20th Century Fox like demand more tits? And like, what committee of men made this movie? And then the movie ends and it's directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Catherine Bigelow, but written by James Cameron. And I'd actually, I will say this before we move off of Strange Days. I almost think it's maybe one of the better, like, quote unquote James Cameron movies, because Catherine Bigelow like cuts the nonsense out of it. She brings like a real human depth to his like science fiction, because he's always like, yeah, science fiction, and then it's like cold and heartless and like what. But it's still shocking to me that man made Titanic, which is like a love story that everybody connects to, because that's not him, baby. And
what's wild is like the movie ends 10 different times where it's like, and then they killed the bad guy, but then wait, there's more bad guys, and then I could not believe the amount of times they build up all the tension, and then like, okay, it's fine now, and then no, you thought there, and it's literally it seems
you were like if Vincent D'Onofrio gets up one more time.
Literally, I was like, this is this movie's parodying itself. Like, it's a parody of Hollywood in the 90s.
And then Waiting to Exhale, which I think is the next the next big one we have to talk about.
Yes.
I had seen Waiting to Exhale, I think, as a child, but I didn't see it until we did this.
Right.
And I think it's fine. I don't think it's great, and I want to know if I had been of age when it came out, if I'd be like, oh, this is classic. But
so
like,
I was thinking, I think my first week of watching for her, I hit all of the quote like Black movies first, and I mean, and that includes her Tyler Perry stuff, this movie, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, and I was like, you know, for some of them, it's like I had to realize like this movie is not for me. Like, it's not for me as an audience member. And I think like, and I don't want to talk too much about Tyler Perry, my feelings about Tyler Perry. But I think a lot of, for better or worse, I know that he's not making those movies for me, and I have to just like understand that and like let it go also. Waiting to Exhale is also not made for me, but I also think it is a showcase for these great Black women, and just in a way that you never get to see.
Yeah.
Who directed this movie? Is it Forrest Whitaker?
It's Forrest Whitaker, who has never directed a film before. He'd done a TV movie, I believe, but that
is bonkers. I mean, I had never seen this movie, and so I'm watching it, and I was like, Forrest Whitaker got Whitney Houston in a movie about women.
And it's well directed.
About Black women who are having sex, are all career women, you know, who, and I just thought, oh my God, this movie, if it made today, they would put them in Atlanta, they'd put them in New Orleans. This movie is set in fucking Phoenix, Arizona, and they are not the only Black women. They have a community around them. I was like, this is mind blowing, and I you know what, I like the movie a lot. I think she has the iconic scene. Come on, it's pretty fucking great.
Fun. I mean, oh yeah, and I have no qualms with her. I would watch a billion films with her and Loretta Devine together too, nonetheless.
Yes.
I think Whitney Houston is better in this movie than she is in The Bodyguard.
Wow.
Completely. And she's not very good in The Bodyguard, let's be honest. But we're letting our secrets out. But I don't know. I don't know. So some of it just didn't sit right with me, and like the scene where Loretta Devine tells her son Donald Faison that his father is gay. Like, I found all that stuff really awkward, and I understand it's of the time, but like it felt more dated than a lot of older movies do occasionally feel more dated. Though I did like that her ex-husband is Giancarlo Esposito, who's amazing, and just rolling up for one scene, just being like, hey, I'm going to do this one scene. We're going to get out.
Hi, I'm gay.
Wesley Snipes, by the way, too.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. He comes in and
into
he's
fucking
like,
Wendy Williams.
Yeah. But the famous scene where Angela Bassett tears all her husband's clothes out, burns all his stuff, sets a car on fire. Amazing thing about that, all the dialogue,
improvised. Improv. Take that, Christopher Guest, okay?
Yeah, white woman's probably the only one who
tolerate your smug ass. Yeah, I was your white woman for 11 years. Couldn't have started that damn company without me. Hell, I worked my ass off.
I mean, I got a master's degree in business, and there I was, his secretary, his office manager, and his computer.
But the worst, all the fucking worst, making my kids go to a school with only 2 other black children because you don't want them to be improperly influenced. Well, guess what, John? You're the motherfucking improper influence. Get your shit, and get out.
Christopher Guest could never.
Could never. He's quaking. He's shaking. It's funny. I mean, it's a movie about 4 separate women who are doing 4 separate things. Like, it's not one of those, like, and we all came together to do the thing.
Right. And
like,
I think that's, and I think that's the, my brain was like, oh, this is like, First Wives Club. No.
No, these are literally
they're
like
just 4 separate lives.
Yeah, 4 girlfriends who are going through it, and they like once in a while talk about ooh, girl, you better like whatever, and they're just girlfriends, but like never does Whitney Houston like come and save one from whatever, an abusive husband or anything like that. Like, no, these are adult women who are gonna handle their own shit. But
oh yeah, they're all leading their own lives.
Bless Forrest Whitaker for literally being like, you're gonna throw the lighter and then turn around and then it's gonna go up in flames. That's the fucking shot. And she said, honey, it sure the fuck is.
You know what really gives me life in all of that though is when when the fucking fireman shows up and he's like sassing her, like like other good thing one of your neighbors called the fire department. They care about the neighborhood. And she's just like, it won't happen again, and closes the door on him. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah. Like, she is the most flase da. Okay.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
It's so good.
In 97, she starred as the president's advisor in Contact. Contact is a movie I love, but this role is a nothing role. She's good in it, but it's just like, really? Angela, for this?
Yeah.
In 98, another huge prestigious moment. Angela Bassett's voice from the movie Strange Days is sampled on the Fatboy Slim song Right Here, Right Now.
Really?
Right here, right now, 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 right here, right now.
Yeah. So that, like, right here, right now, that's our girl. Angela Bassett.
Wow. I'm gonna listen to that like later.
Also in 98, she stars in, I think, which is another career-defining role, How Stella Got Her Groove Back.
Yeah.
Did you happen to revisit this? You just mentioned you revisited.
I revisited. We watched it for. I mean,
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi's in it. Regina's in it. All the gals. They're here.
All the gals. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's another one that I like totally get why it's iconic, and she's amazing in it. Regina's great in it. Whoopi is great in it.
Whoopi is very good in it.
Yeah, she's my favorite part of the film.
Oh, wait now, girl. I want you to wave to Jack and Buddy. I am not waving the men I don't know. You will. Now, they from Chicago by way of L.A. They got 3 Super Bowl rings between them. I get Jack and you get Buddy. Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, yes, I did. I did not come all the way down here to turn into a slut. I did. A big old hoe slut if I can. Look, all I want to do is run, read, relax, and roll over. Oh, Lord, and I pick up old soft football players. What was your last wide receiver? Okay, come on.
On 3, your least favorite part of this film. 1, 2, 3. Tay Diggs. Oh, he tries. Yeah. He tries.
Yeah, he was doing stuff. But we've talked about this film before, and if you want to listen to us talk about that film, I would suggest the Whoopi Goldberg episode.
All I will say is that I like seeing her hanging with the gals. I just like it. She's so easy breezy with Regina. She's so easy breezy with Whoopi. It's just like nice. It feels so natural, and I like it.
In 99, she re-teams with Wes Craven from Vampire in Brooklyn to do the movie Music of the Heart with Meryl Streep.
Oh my God. I remember being obsessed with this movie when I was in like late middle school. and because I was starting to play the violin, and our violin teacher like took us all to go watch it. Lol. Oh, and also NSYNC has like the titular song.
They do.
Yes, with Gloria.
I'm sure Angela Bassett's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
In 2000, Bassett turns down the lead role in Monsters Ball because she's like, I don't like the sexual content of the script.
Wow.
Is it a mistake? No, I don't think so. But Halle Berry does win her Academy Award for Best
Halle's
Actress.
Revenge. She said, oh, you got Tina. I'm going to do Monsters Ball.
Exactly. Instead, she appears in the film Supernova,
which, you know what? I'm not mad at, but what I am...
It's such a mess.
What I am mad at is that, like, James Spader looked like that once.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, he was very handsome.
It's so funny. One of my most favorite dated jokes from the pilot of Buffy is Cordelia quizzing Buffy about all the cool, like, to make sure she's cool. And at one point she's like, James Spader, and Buffy goes, he needs to call me. And and when I look at that now, I'm like, does he? Do you want that? And then I see him and I'm like, oh, I get it.
In the 90s, he was fine.
Yeah.
I feel like this movie is, there probably was like a lot of emotional stuff in there, but that got like just wiped away from like studio stuff.
Oh yeah, the movie was taken away from Walter Hill and it was re-edited by Francis Ford Coppola, which is insane to me.
That's insane. I'm like, I just was doing math in my head, like, what does that mean? Why is the movie the way it is?
There's a scene where she has anti-gravity sex with James Spader. Do you want to know something crazy about that scene? It's like a quick flyby of the ship.
I was like, I remember a lot of anti-gravity sex. I don't remember her doing it, but
well, here's the tea on that.
Okay.
Because it was decided in edit by Francis Ford Coppola that they should have more of a connection with each other, James Spader and Angela Bassett. That scene was added, but they didn't shoot it. Instead, there was an anti-gravity space sex scene with Lou Diamond Phillips and Robin Tunney, and they digitally made Robin Tunney black.
What the fuck? That's insane.
Yeah.
They could do that in 2000?
Yeah. It's the future, baby. I need to stop that.
You know what? I like it. Baby. The most like kind of like, oh my god, part of that movie is the very end when like they have to get in the same transfer pod and then they make it back to Earth or whatever, and it's like, you've swapped 2% DNA, and like they open their eyes and like they each have like an eye color from each other. I was like, oh, are they in love? Do they have each other's eyes now? God.
So also in 2000, she does this small adaptation of Bozeman and Lena, which is a Fugard play. It's turned into a film by John Barry. John Barry, who was the original director of the Broadway version in 1970, starring James Earl Jones and Ruby Dee. It was John Barry's last film. He unfortunately died during post-production. Did you get a chance to watch Bozeman and Lena?
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
It's very good.
Okay, I was like, oh no, like, I couldn't tell which way you were going.
I'm surprised we didn't talk about it for Danny Glover.
Yeah, no, I'm shocked we didn't talk about it either. I'd sort of missed it. For that, I loved both of them in that movie. I also think it's really interesting. I've never read the play. I've never seen the play. It's almost like, I mean, it should be done alongside Waiting for Godot, I think, in terms of the annals of play history, because it's like Waiting for Godot, but it's also about apartheid.
Yeah.
and it's, I don't know, it's such a small film, and I actually really love the way it was shot. A lot of the reviews were like, oh, it's basically just a filmed play. I disagree.
I disagree.
I think it's really well done. And I also don't think you get to see Angela Bassett do a lot of the things that she's doing in this film very often. She's homeless. She's she does this thing with her body where she really pulls it in, but she also has these mercurial mood swings in the film. And it's a big performance that's been drawn really far down for filmmaking.
Hey! drinking just now? Flaky condensed milk. Sugar's not enough, man. What do you say if we get lots of prawns? I want some real sweetness. Then you can be as big a bugger as you like. Da 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 da. Taste of condensed milk makes our life sweet. Bossman is a bushman. He's all dark meat. Da, da. Hey, look at this. Lena still got a bus trap in her own legs.
Yeah, it's just kind of shocking seeing both her and Danny Glover, who are these radiant stars, brought down to this level, and they are inhabiting these roles. Yeah, it's incredible. It's a great movie.
In 2001, she does the score, which she plays Robert De Niro's girlfriend.
Never seen it, never will.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. She also does Ruby's Bucket of Blood, which is a television film.
I did see that.
Yeah, it's... I think we're going to talk about her television... Well, let's talk about her television work, okay? I have before said many times on this show, especially being quote-unquote in the business, I understand how television films are made. They are made quick. They're made cheap. They do not have the budget that a lot of other people have. Because of this, sometimes not all the acting is up to snuff. Sometimes they've only got... They have a real economy of shots that they have to accomplish during a day, so they can only do a certain number of takes. I think it's really unfortunate that a lot of the TV work, not all of the TV work, I don't want to say all the TV work, but a lot of the TV work that's been passed Angela Bassett's way are what I consider really subpar. Because I think something like Ruby's Bucket of Blood on the surface is a good idea. It's, you know, it's a woman who owns a bar in Louisiana. She's very well aware of her status in life, that even though she is a popular fixture of the community, she knows that can all change in a moment because she is black and she lives in constant fear of the white man, as she should from everything that the movie points out. However, the movie decides to populate itself with basically almost a completely uninteresting cast, except for her daughter, who is, you know, Journey Smollett, which once again, you know, I'd just seen Birds of Prey, so I was like, whoa, child, Journey Smollett.
Yeah.
And Brian Stokes Mitchell is her husband, who has like 2 scenes maybe. Everybody else is super flat, and it all feels like, outside of her story, topic of the week. It's like there's a gay character, it's one of those things where it's like, if this script could have gone through like 2 more drafts, this movie would be really interesting. But it's not. It just wasn't. I don't know how you felt about this, but
yeah, I don't know. As I was watching it, I was like, oh good, we're talking about like a nice white person who's gonna like help this black lady.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and like the story isn't like him giving her like proper, you know, economic help or anything. It's literally like, let me love you. I can be the one to take care of you, and I'm gonna like cheat on my mentally unwell wife, and while we're doing it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and so like on the other side of the coin of this, she also does the Rosa Parks story in 2002, and once again, it's a TV movie. It's an economy of shots. It's not all great. Not all the actors are up to Angela Bassett's level. But, you know, it is directed by Julie Dash, who is an icon. Cicely Tyson is in this movie. And I ended up really liking the Rosa Parks story. It's very straightforward, but I think Julie Dash does some really creative things with the filmmaking, in so much that she can with the budget that they have. And I don't know. And I thought Angela Bassett's performance as Rosa Parks was really interesting, because it's another role where Rosa Parks was an incredibly strong-willed person, but she doesn't present that way.
Right.
Angela Bassett presents strong.
Yes.
She has an aura about her that just radiates, and she brought it all in for this movie. And yet, for those scenes where she really has to let it go, She absolutely does. And I don't know. I thought this was a killer performance in a movie that aired on CBS.
You cannot really believe that they asked me to do this?
My wife was in jail.
I did not ask to be arrested, Parks. All I wanted was what everybody else on that bus wanted, to go home. And I do not need Nixon, the NAACP, or anybody else to tell me that I have a right to my dignity when I'm taking that 10-cent ride.
She is not somebody who's afraid of television at all,
No.
or what it's
No.
going to do to her career. As you mentioned before, she's a working actor. 2004, she does Mr. 3000 with Bernie Mac. She does Aquila and the Bee in 2006, which is cute. I liked it.
And it reteams her with Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, multiple times. I mean, Boys in the Hood, What's Love Got to Do with It, Aquila and the Bee.
In 2008, I think we should quickly mention, she does Meet the Browns, which was at first a stage show, then became a movie.
Yeah. It was Tyler Perry's second film after Diary of a Mad Black Woman, and he really sort of takes the opportunity to really, from the bottom up, rewrite his play, and basically create a whole new scenario for this new character.
Right, because I mean, Medea is in this movie maybe for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and
I
so it's
wasn't
really
even aware it was one of those Medea films until, like, I knew she was mentioned,
right.
but
It's in the expanded Medea universe.
Also, in 2008, she takes a role in the final season of ER. She plays Dr. Catherine Banfield, who is the exacting chief of ER, who has, like, a secret.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Courtney B. Vance got to be her husband on that show.
Oh.
2009, she plays Voletta Wallace in Notorious. She's the mother of the Notorious B.I.G. She says she worked on her Jamaican accent by using tapes that Wallace made. I saw this movie. I don't remember a strong...
I did not watch this movie, so I have no comment.
Oh, okay. She's good in it.
Okay.
Good. But
perhaps no Jamaican accent.
Yeah. I mean, she's got something. She's doing something.
I've been talking to Mark about becoming my manager.
Good. And if you asking me to hold you equally responsible, Mark, believe me, I will.
Yes, ma'am.
I need to have a word with Chris.
Yes, ma'am.
And 2011, she does a role in the movie Green Lantern. Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Also in 2011, she does the movie Jumping the Broom, where she plays the matriarch of a wealthy family, as opposed to Loretta Devine, who plays the matriarch of a not so well-off family, and their children are marrying each other, and chaos ensues when the wedding gets together. She goes on to play Coretta Scott King in the TV movie Betty and Coretta in 2013, opposite Mary J. Blige, who plays Dr. Betty Shabazz. Interestingly enough, and I didn't mention this earlier, Angela Bassett plays Dr. Betty Shabazz a second time, a year after Malcolm X, in Mario Van Peebles' film Panther. It's a very small role.
What would you tell young brothers and sisters to do in following Brother Malcolm's footsteps?
Well, I would say that Malcolm lives in each of us, and that we must all work together for the community, like those brothers out there are doing.
But it was interesting to see her reverse course and take the role of Coretta Scott King in this Lifetime movie.
It's even more like, it's interesting seeing her take Coretta Scott King, but like it's also just shows like the ocean between her and Mary J. Blige and their acting abilities, because Mary J. Blige is no Angela Bassett. Like the performances are just night and day. It's and I you know, I love Mudbound, you know, I get it, but also the movie's just not good.
Yeah. I don't ever want to tell Mary J. Blige it's not very good, though, because I know how she feels about drama.
She hates it. She hates it.
She doesn't want it. No more of it.
No more.
So I heard you're planning to speak before Congress about Martin's holiday.
Well, I have to do something. They keep shooting it down.
and have ever since it was first introduced 18 years ago.
You don't want to give it to a black man. It's like Malcolm said, sitting at the table don't make you a diner. Unless you eat some of what's on the plate, you know?
Well, I hope he was wrong about that.
In 2013, she does Olympus Has Fallen. And the funny thing about that is, she took this role because she plays the head of the Secret Service, and there has never been a female head of the Secret Service in reality, let alone a woman of color. So she was just like, okay, well, we'll do this. And she also stars in Black Nativity in 2013 for director Kasi Lemmons. We talked about Black Nativity in our holiday musicals episode.
It is not good.
Yeah, neither of us were fans, but one positive is it is the only time to date Angela Bassett's real voice has been heard on screen in terms of singing. Because even Ruby's Bucket of Blood, where she had a bunch of songs, it was dubbed by another actor.
Oh, yeah.
In 2013, she starts her collaboration with Ryan Murphy, playing Marie Laveau in American Horror Story. She gets Emmy noms out the wazoo for these. She also got Emmy nominated for Rosa Parks. I don't think I mentioned that before. And this starts sort of a long collaboration with Ryan Murphy. I personally don't know what she sees in his work, but if there is a really good season of American Horror Story, it is Coven, and her performance, as well as Kathy Bates' performance, are like, mwah, chef's kiss. So
I'm not a Horror Story gay, so I cannot comment.
It's bad. I mean, that was my last season, because I had this friend at work who kept being like, no, it's good this year, and every time it was not good.
You felt that way.
In 2014, she made her directorial debut with the TV film Whitney, also for Lifetime. As a film about Whitney Houston. Once again, it's on a budget.
She's a budget queen.
Yeah. My favorite thing was watching that montage of her. Well, I will say this. They got the music, which is more than you can say for a lot of them.
Well, it feels particularly useful, I would say.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, any time that they perform one of the songs, they perform the full song for an hour and a half film. But there's a montage in the movie set to I'm Every Woman that's supposed to be different touring dates, and it's very clear that they're just changing the color of the lights. Also, I'm pretty sure Whitney Houston never played a stage that small, especially not at that point in her career. So,
wow, read 'em, drag 'em.
But I will say the problem is not the direction. There's just not a great film. And it also felt, in my opinion, and Angela was friends with them and she was close to them, it felt very Bobby Brown sided. And I was like, that's a weird tactic to take. But yeah, I was happy that movie got made by a friend of Whitney Houston's, by somebody that knew her. And
when you have a love and a passion, hers for singing, and then you're so blessed by your gifts and your talents, and you have opportunity to play that out on the world stage, and all that comes at you because you're doing what you love, and then how it can get you sidetracked. It's just a cautionary tale for everyone.
In 2015, she does the movie Chirac for Spike Lee, her big return to Spike Lee.
Yes, and I think this was one of the first movies that Amazon
it was
produced.
The first movie that Amazon produced. And I will say, I don't know if the film would have been made without Amazon, but I think had it been released to theaters, it would be more popular. Because I think it's a very artistic film, and it's a very interesting film, but it's done in such a very specific style that I think that probably scared away some movie studios. And
Oh yeah, I mean it's first of all it's Lysistrata, and it's complete, and so it is a story about gang violence in Chicago, but Lysistrata is on top of that. But a lot of it is spoken in new verse. Yeah. It's very satirical. It's very funny, but also in the end, it's kind of a gut punch. The lead actor in this movie is Nick Cannon, which is, a thing, I guess. It's weird. I think I read that Kanye West was originally supposed to star in this movie.
Correct.
Could not make it because he's Kanye West and is the ultimate flake. But you know, I can't fault. I guess Nick Cannon's decent in the movie. At the end, it's
yeah. I was surprised when I first saw him. I was like, oh no, but yeah, I ended up liking him. Yeah.
And you know, Angela's role isn't that large in it.
No, but she's
I
got
think
some great scenes.
Great scenes. The scene when the guy comes up to sell her insurance. Oh, fucking killer. The true like joy of this movie though is seeing all the young women.
Yeah.
It's fun. And it's on Amazon Prime, ladies and gentlemen, so get thyself to your computer and watch it.
It's worth every second of the I really don't have a negative thing to say about that movie. In 2016, Angela Bassett does London Has Fallen. It's the first and only time she's ever appeared in a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Well, wait. She's in Black Panther and Avengers Endgame. Does that count?
I mean, that's a cinematic universe. I'll count it. I'll take it. Jury?
Okay.
Jury says okay.
Okay, we got it.
Yeah.
Which I guess which brings up Black Panther, which comes out in 2018.
Absolutely.
And it's huge.
Great in it. So good.
Yes.
But Angela Bassett should have been Storm years ago.
Okay,
Since
Gavin.
the year 2000, Angela Bassett should have been Storm. She should have been like, Hallie, you can take your Oscar. You can shove it where the sun don't shine.
Wow.
Because I'm fucking Storm.
Gavin has some feelings about Storm. Gavin wants...
And all of them are Angela Bassett.
Gavin wants Angela Bassett and Halle Berry to fight.
I do.
You know, clearly they have a history. Clearly. Halle Berry is still pressed about not being Tina Turner.
Yeah. I'm not trying to pit women against women. She would have been an amazing Storm. She was born to play that character.
She's born to play Storm, yeah. The white hair proves it as Queen Ramonda.
Absolutely. Maybe it's a nod. Maybe she was just like, bitch, I can do it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, when they announced that cast, I was like, yes, that's correct. There's no one else.
I call upon the ancestors. I call upon Bast. I'm here with my son, T'Challa. Heal him.
Since 2018, she's also starred on the Fox TV show 911. She's also a producer on that show. And I can kind of, I totally get, you know, Ryan Murphy, I guess, brought it to her. And I'm sure the producer was to sweeten the pot. But I like this idea that she's also very much in control of her own career now, because she's doing this thing that she has, you know, a stake in.
Right. And I think she said, you know, she has not young kids, but she has kids. And she's like, listen,
Teenagers.
if I can do stuff in LA and, you know, be at home and be, you know, a mom and raise my kids, like, I'm going to do it. And I mean, she's literally 60 years old. And I don't know how old this character is. She's supposed to be in this show, but like a 60-year-old it's about EMTs, right? Or I don't know what the fuck the show's about.
I'm not going to watch it. Sorry.
No.
But, I think she like runs the call center. I'm not positive.
Someone tell us what 911's about.
Yeah, please. But also don't expect me to watch it.
I think I resisted that, you know, the idea of doing a show that may go 7 years or more, whatever, you know what I mean? Because just the nature of, you know, of this business of being an actress, I love how, you know, that you get to change and grow and put on, you know, different characters and ideas and suits and interact with different people and directors and actors and situations and locations, you know, so the idea of staying put, you know, isn't one that I've, you know, embraced, I guess. But, you know, as you know, mature and have kids, mature and try to find roles that are interesting and situations that are interesting. And this was one.
Just some quick tidbits about her personal life. We mentioned before, she's married to Courtney B. Vance. They got married in 1997. They've done some theater work together. They did a production of His Girl Friday, which I kind of wish I could have seen, but it was in Minneapolis, weirdly enough.
Whoa.
They have twins, Slater Josiah Vance, which is her son, and Bronwyn Golden Vance. Golden after her aunt. Oh my God.
I love that so much.
I love that so much. Which is her daughter. They were carried by a surrogate in 2006.
Love that so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Supporter of the arts, especially for youth. She annually attends events for children with diabetes and those in foster homes. She's a big proponent of diabetes health. Her mother passed away due to complications from diabetes. Her uncle has it, so she is very big on supporting that charity. She's a huge Democrat, always giving money to liberal causes. She went to the 2016 Democratic National Convention with the survivors of the Charleston church shooting. So, like,
God,
we know where her heart is, obviously.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, and that's sort of, yeah, as you mentioned, she can kind of do anything. I loved doing this episode. So, like, I don't know, doing the history of this and finding out more about her and finding out that she's this tough person. She mentioned once in an interview with The Guardian, specifically about the role she plays. She said, quote, "This is a career about images. It's celluloid. They last forever. I'm a black woman from America. My people were slaves in America. And even though we're free on paper and in law, I'm not going to allow you to enslave me on film and celluloid for all to see. And across the water to countries where people will never meet people who look like me. So it becomes bigger than me just becoming a movie star and me just being on TV."
Yeah, I mean, and she's right, because I think most African American, people would say she is kind of like America's auntie. Like, everyone looks up to her. She is this like pillar in the community, and because of what she represents. She's played all these characters that mean so much, of both fictional and non-fictional. So congratulations, Angela Bassett. It worked. Your career's a success. You did it.
Absolutely. So why don't we move into our picks, and let's start with our 1-star review.
So my 1-star review goes to, crazily enough, 2019's Otherhood.
We didn't even mention it.
No, we sure the fuck did not.
But go on.
You know what? She's been in a lot of bad movies, but like you said, she's always like elevated, or she's not bad in them. Like, we really didn't like Black Nativity. I don't know how you felt about Meet the Browns or Jump the Broom, but like, they're not great. But she's always a standout. In Otherhood is a 2019 Netflix film, and it stars Angela Bassett, Patricia Arquette, and Felicity Huffman, and they're like just like moms in the burbs, and their kids have moved to New York City, and one year their mean sons forget them on Mother's Day, or maybe don't even forget. I feel like one of them texts and she's mad that whatever. They feel slighted on Mother's Day, and so they like get a little bit drunk and come to New York to surprise their kids because, I don't know, they want to be remembered and be part of their lives or something like that. The movie should be like light and fun. It should be like easy breezy, but it's not. And you can really see Angela Bassett doing her best to try and like make this nothing of a character and script into something, but it just isn't there. I tried to think, like, where were the times that I thought she looked uncomfortable or that she really just wasn't shining as bright as she always is. And literally, like, this is the only movie I can think of. It's just like her having to be like, oh, I don't know, everything's fine, but it's not. I mean, and also the thing of like, they do a makeover for her. And I was like, in what fucking world are you giving Angela Bassett a makeover? She looks hot at the beginning of this movie. She looks hot at the end of it. The whole thing of like,
they try and play it off like she has really bad hair, but like,
no, she doesn't.
We knew it was a wig. No, it was a wig.
But also, like, she's like, oh, I don't go out. I don't go to the clubs. I don't dance. It's like, ma'am, you know what you look like in this dress. Like, you're not fooling anybody. I mean, the movie is just a Triesha. She's trying too hard, and just no.
So what do you do, Angel?
I'm still in school.
Oh, did Matt tell you that he went to Dartmouth?
No, that's amazing. I might take a year off to travel before college. Maybe go to Europe.
So you're still in high school.
You were in a bar.
I'm 18.
You don't look it.
Next month.
17.
You never said that you were 17.
You've been dating for 4 months. You don't know how old she is?
Mom, you forced me to lie. You make it sound like I can't be in a long-term
I
relationship.
can't force you to do anything.
Like, I just met her tonight, okay, Mom? She was with friends drinking and I paid the bill.
I didn't come home with you because you paid the bill. He asked me to model for his magazine.
Because you said that you were a model.
I am. I used to model children's clothing.
Oh? When was that? Last year.
You know, for everything I've said about TV movies, it's frustrating that Netflix wants to pretend that occasionally they're willing to give money to certain things. But this film, which admittedly the script needed a lot of work, but this film that was directed by a woman, produced majorly by women, they like threw $5 at.
Yeah.
And so it like looks like a sitcom. The movie, everything about it looked like a sitcom. 2 things I will say. 1, the only reason to watch that movie is to watch Angela Bassett eat that pizza at Two Boots.
Mm-hmm.
Genuinely the best thing in the entire film. And 2, Angela Bassett and Patricia Arquette were producers on the movie. And Felicity Huffman was added later as an actor, not as a producer. And then the college scandal hit like a week before Otherhood came out. And can you imagine how much they hate her?
Yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine how much they fucking hate
and
Felicity Huffman now?
And the press tour was very aggressive. Like, Angela was out, like, promoting this movie. And of course, all everyone wanted to talk about was Felicity Huffman. And she had to be so polite and just be like,
yeah,
she took responsibility for what she did. And I just respect that.
Where really it's just cutting to her at like the holding rooms, just like smashing pictures.
Right. But I think that Felicity Huffman's character is the most interesting of the movie, actually, though, because she's, in denial, but also is like this hoity-toity, and her son is gay, who in this movie, he's wearing this fucking crazy wig. I don't like it. I don't know this actor's name, but they put him in a ponytail, and I'm like...
Jake Lacey, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's very handsome, so cute, like him in a lot of things. Why did they give him a ponytail? What for?
Don't know.
Yeah, the movie's bad. It's just bad.
It's really bad. So I'm going to go back a little bit further, not too much further. And I do want to preface this by saying, like, I think you hit the nail on the head. This movie was not made for me at all, but I'm going to go with Tyler Perry's Meet the Browns. We've talked about Tyler Perry a bunch, but I don't want to say too much about, like, speaking of sitcoms, this movie feels like a sitcom, and it's very telling that eventually these characters went on to star in their own sitcom, and it's very broad, but it also feels tonally like 2 different films. Angela Bassett plays Brenda Brown Davis. She's a struggling mother. She finds out her father has died in Georgia, and she receives a ticket to go to the funeral. She goes to the funeral and finds out that she's part of this crazy family, and they're very religious and kind of old school, and they're zany and they're wacky and all sorts of hijinks. And then she comes back, and her son's really great at basketball, and she starts to fall in love with Rick Fox, who wants to be her son's manager and wants to train with her son, and he's just a really good guy. And a lot of these tropes they're very, as you've said before when talking about Tyler Perry, they are morality plays.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't know, because what's the best way to put this? It seems that Tyler Perry truly believes that the only reason you should be a good person is because it'll get you into heaven. And it's really telling. There's a scene where her son says, like, all you care about is where you go in the afterlife. I care about here and now. And I was like, yeah, I side with her son in this situation. because
Right.
I think you should be a good person because other people are people and they're living and they're breathing, and I'm not necessarily concerned what's happening once I no longer have control over everything. And admittedly, these are very personal things, and but it was frustrating to me to watch Angela Bassett try and play this role that she's a single mother. She's trying to do what's best for her children, but it's not a strong role. She's not a strong character. And it made me even more frustrated that at the end, she has to apologize to a man who she like thinks is maybe in it for the money. Rick Fox's character, signs on, and she ends up apologizing to him for no reason. And I find in doing this show, anytime we run into a Tyler Perry film, usually there's a woman character who sort of has to pledge her fealty to a man.
I can pay you back now for all you did for us. The house, the move, everything.
You don't get it, do you?
Get what?
I didn't do all of that so you could pay me back.
I'm sorry. I'm just so used to being taken advantage of. It.
Yeah, that you don't even know when somebody loves you.
Love me.
Yeah. Tell Mike I said congratulations.
Hey, what if I told you I love you too, but I just got scared for a second? But I'd rather be scared and with you than not scared and not have you.
What? Why would I scare you?
Because you're everything I've always wanted in a man.
Then let me be that for you.
It frustrates me because she's too good and too strong for that. And I don't think she played the role particularly well because I think she wants to fucking say that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that's fucked up about Tyler Perry's movies, especially the Medea movies, is the most interesting characters are not the good characters. Medea is not a good person. She, is fucking shit up all the time,
Yeah. There's like a weird police brutality joke scene that I was just like, now is not the time. Or any time, really, but...
Yeah, and so, and you're right, he always is, moralizing about, like, oh, well, if you don't... I mean, the thing I always say is, like, if you do coke once, or if you're, like, not praying to Jesus, you're gonna get AIDS and die, because he literally does that. Yeah, I did laugh a couple times. I thought the scene at the table when the dad's like revealing like all the hoes. I thought that was very funny. And at the beginning of it, I was like, this isn't funny. No. But then I was like, you know what? All of my girlfriends at TW who are mostly black would think this is the funniest fucking thing. And I was like, oh, this is for them. This is not for me. But so I think there are those moments.
And I agree with you. And like it's not necessarily a film for me, but I mean they've since sort of let bygones be bygones, but I really do kind of side with Spike Lee about Tyler Perry's films, where I
Did they have beef?
Oh, they've had beef for over a decade.
Wow.
And I sometimes think, I don't know.
No, you're right. You're completely right. And like the thing about his movies, that they're such like fucking emotional, tonal roller coasters, because he wants to have like zany, weird fucking comedy that's like physical and like slapstick, but then like in the next moment he wants to talk about like, well, I did have a gambling problem and I lost everything. Like, and he wants to get like really, crazy emotional, and he just doesn't have the skill really to like do that type of storytelling. And so there is like this whiplash of, and I was very, and now I just remembered, I was very worried that, because I think Tyler Perry can be very cruel to his characters. Yes. And in this movie, like the kid decides, I'm not going to be a gangbanger. Take the drugs back. I don't want them. And then like a ruckus erupts and there's guns, and I was like, they're gonna kill this child. They're gonna kill him because that's what Tyler Perry does. But no, he fucking one-upped himself, and they shot the kid, and then he survived just because. And they're like, you're very lucky that... And like, they make it the most aggressive...
He survives just because, has 1 day of physical therapy, and he's back to playing basketball.
Yes.
Insane.
The most Tyler Perry thing ever. He's like, I could kill him, or I could just make it literally for nothing. Why did you shoot him in the first place?
Right. And like, I think it demeans a little bit victims of gun violence as well. Because it's not just like, oh, you recover and you're fine. There's trauma, there's physical trauma, there's mental trauma, there's recovery. I don't know. I was very nonplussed by Meet the Browns. But...
You were negative plussed.
Yeah. There were other films of hers that I didn't love. I didn't love Jumping the Broom. Not that it's that bad. It's definitely not a 1-star review, but I think it's a weird tactic for your film to be like, not only are the rich bad, but the poor are bad too. I was like, everybody's bad in this movie. I know you didn't even make it all the way through Green Lantern.
No.
Olympus Has Fallen is trash, but nowhere near the level of trash of London Has Fallen. And I know why she doesn't do sequels. And like, that is a prime example. Like, London Has Fallen is jingoistic, rah-rah America nonsense. And it was so bad. The director of Olympus Has Fallen, Anton Fuqua, read the script and was like, I don't like this.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly. So... Mr. 3000 also not a terrible movie, but I will say is part of the problem with her because like on paper, great character. She's a female reporter for ESPN. She's totally like a sex positive character. She's down to get a little freaky and everything. And nope, she's totally just willing to give it all up for a man. Just waiting for the right guy to settle down with. And it's just like, guys, come on.
Right. Well, I mean, that's also like very prevalent in Jumping the Broom. Like the whole thing, she's like, yeah, I made him wait to get with me, and maybe you would have some luck too if you wouldn't just like sleep with whoever you want. I'm like, why do they have to like make a plot point of like people being like chased to make it good? Like, it's so fucking insane. Like, no one is judging you, and the reason why maybe you don't have like lasting relationships isn't because you had like sex before you got married. That's not the thing, okay? Like, there's a difference between like being emotionally mature and like sexually mature. Like, fuck whoever you want, who cares? It doesn't make you like stupid. So Kevin, why don't we get into our 5-star reviews? She has a lot of iconic roles, iconic movies, but you know what? When I saw this movie, I was like, there can be nothing else. It is 2000's Bozeman and Lena. She's a fucking like supernova. That's another 2000 movie she made. Reference.
But that's closer to a 1-star review.
That's a closer. I would give it like a 2. I'd give it a 2. No, but Bozeman and Lena, I was floored. I could not believe what I was watching. Bozeman and Lena is a Fugard play, and it's considered one of his masterpieces. It's these two homeless South Africans who are, pushed out of their, basically, they have their, it's not a home. It's a, what is it, Gavin? It's
like not even a shelter. It's a bunch of pieces of metal.
Right. And
against each other.
Right. And because, and it gets torn down, and they're just going back to the mud flats, and the whole play takes place one day and one night. And it's just this couple who are fighting, arguing, revealing things about themselves, their relationship. Danny Glover and Angela Bassett are stunning in this, but she far and away is the shining sun of this movie. Her performance is raw. It's joyful. It's like, it feels like she's like, I don't know, there's this like want, this need inside of her. She's begging her, I guess they're husband and wife. They don't say it explicitly, but she says, this is my man. And they have like these cutscenes to their past and how they got to where they are. she's just like begging him to live, to like, you know, the ending is it's just like heartbreaking. I mean, it's like a portrait of people, just people trying to survive circumstances, and their circumstances are crazy and specific. But I think the beauty of this play and their performances is that, and the master behind it, like this masterpiece, like the reason why it works so well is because you can relate to anything, you know? She says, I'm paraphrasing and trying to remember the line. She says, "Don't let the bruises hold the rope for you." And, you know, and she's saying like, you still have lots to live for. She says at the end, she's like, "I'm still here. I'm still living." And it's a gut punch of a movie, and it's on YouTube. So
yeah, somebody has uploaded it to YouTube. That's exactly how I saw it too.
I really can't speak enough. She hasn't done nothing like this before. And also this is another reason why I was like, man, if there were more roles, opportunities for her to do this, holy fuck. And this is a movie that completely was not seen, like overlooked. It's
like I said, a lot of the critics were really shitty about it. I think they're wrong.
The only
I'll
thing
be perfectly honest.
A.O. Scott wrote in the New York Times when it came out, Miss Bassett stokes Lena's pain to such white heat that the screen fairly burns. And he's fucking right. She's like, and she's laughing, she's crying, she's this pained mother, this wounded figure, but she's so defiant in the face of a hard life. That's the best way I can say it.
There! Take everything! I want bugger all! Hey, what's your big word? Freedom! Tonight is freedom for Lena! White man gave you yours this morning, but you lost it. Must I tell you how? When you put all that on your back, there wasn't room for it as well. You should have thrown it on the bonfire and be with it. You should have walked away naked. That's what I'm going to be. Naked. The noise I make is going to be new. Maybe I'll cry or laugh. I want to laugh as well. I feel light. Get ready, Bossman. When you walk, I'm going to laugh.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And I think it's such a joy that we have that film, because nothing comes close, I think, to where this movie stands in her filmography.
I would say one film comes close. I'm actually, first of all, I just want to say I'm really happy and proud that you picked that, because
Gavin, that's so fucking shady. How dare you? I'm like so proud that you chose this movie.
I'm so proud. Oh, my little baby's grown up.
You thought I was going to pick Music of the Heart, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I thought you were going to pick Jumping the Broom. Loved it so much. But
what is your pick, Gavin?
My pick is with a strong agree for Boseman and Lena, but 1993's What's Love Got to Do with It? I can't begrudge the Oscars for giving the Academy Award to Holly Hunter for The Piano. It's a complicated role. It's not easy to do. I think she's amazing in that movie. But if we cannot get Angela Bassett the Academy Award for What's Love Got to Do with It, what does she have to do to earn one? Because I genuinely think it is a full physical performance. As you said, she is singing. She's getting the shit beat out of her. She's having to do complicated emotional moments. And yeah, there's some kind of lifetimey movie stuff. I mean, I really don't need that extra scene where Ike comes to her dressing room at the end of the movie. In fact, I almost wish that was like a fantasy sequence, but I think she is so good and so powerful at tracing Anna Mae, Tina Turner's real name, from her roots, you know, from the time she's in St. Louis till her big comeback in the 80s. I think it's a fascinating look. I will say the movie maybe has a bit of a structural problem. It moves at lightning speed, and you never really understand. So it's the story of Tina Turner. I guess we should mention that, and her love and career with Ike Turner, who is her husband as well as bandmate, who like kind of molds her at first, but then becomes incredibly abusive. And they have this really awful relationship where he is both physically and sexually abusive, and she eventually has to leave him and strike out on her own. I will say the movie doesn't do a great job of explaining that how their popularity like ebbs and flows, and it just kind of seems like at some points they're hot, some points they're not.
Right.
And it doesn't really fill you into when what is what. Like they'll be on TV one moment, and the next thing they'll be like, "We don't have any money. We're," and it's like, why? What happened? But I really love her performance. Also, she would have slayed every lip sync on Drag Race, because like she is. And it's funny that they are using the original Phil Spector masters for the Tina Turner songs, and she is just nailing every lip quiver, every screech, every
right. I mean, well, Angela Bassett has that mouth that's like that radiant smile, those beautiful like full lips, and she's using them to her full like capabilities, because she is just like giving you full face pulling, like every time she's singing, when she's shaking her head, whipping that wig around, and it's just like she's brilliant.
Absolutely. I don't know how much more I have to say about What's Love Got to Do With It. I don't know. I feel like most people have seen it, but if you haven't, it's widely available and it's worth checking out. And it's not incredibly long either.
No, it's not. And
for a movie of its type.
She has said, that she said, like, being honored by awards is very nice, but at the end of the day, it's not about that. And so she's not super pressed that she doesn't have an Oscar, but she fucking should have one. And she said that she went and saw Tina, the Broadway show. She said she saw it in London and saw it again in New York. And like when she saw Adrienne Warren, who plays Tina, that they just hugged each other and cried. I know. Can you imagine? The day that Broadway shut down was the day I was supposed to go see Tina on Broadway.
My heart still goes out to you for that, because
I'm being personally affected by this pandemic, okay? Personally.
But I mean, what luck. Like, oof, wow.
Yeah, I like the movie a lot. I think I remember watching it as a kid and being like, oh my God, Ike Turner's the scariest person alive. And then watching it now, most of my attention is like, Tina Turner is the strongest bitch alive.
Well, I think that's what's really funny is I think most of Tina Turner's complaints, in fact, she even said the movie portrays her as a woman who's a victim of a con man. How weak, how shallow, how dare you think was what I was? And I can see, like, if you lived it, yes, like that's an upsetting way to believe you're being portrayed. But I don't think Angela Bassett plays her that way at all.
No, I mean, there the moments when she grabs her kids and she leaves, she tries to leave, and I just think maybe domestic violence is a very hard thing to like talk about or like cast judgment on, but she's not weak because this man was brutal to her, like there's nothing weak about surviving a man who is manipulating and being physically violent against a woman. And in the end, Tina came through it all on the other side. There are so many moments where, she says I think she just had her kid and she's like, I'm tired, I can't go up on there. And he's like, he basically threatens her, and she goes up and she's like crying as it's just her singing before it really gets going. And I was like, fucking brilliant. The scene where she goes into the hotel bloodied and she's like begging the hotel manager.
I'm Tina Turner. My husband and I just had a fight. I'm supposed to open at the Academy tonight. I have 36 cents and a mobile card. But if you would give me a room, I swear I will pay you back.
No, please. That won't be necessary. Now, Miss Turner, I'd be honored, really. We'll take care of you.
Thank you.
Nick, let's get Miss Turner a room.
It's yeah, she's so good.
Yeah, I wish she'd either gotten more roles like that where she could really dig into the character, or more recognition, something that would have changed the path of her career. But I'm very happy for any What's Love Got to Do with It or Bozeman and Lena role that we have gotten from her. I just wish she'd gotten more opportunities to do that.
Right. I mean, it kind of stopped. I mean, it feels like that was 1993. How she must have been in her late 20s, early 30s, maybe. It feels like if any white actress had made that movie, they would have gone on to do like a billion big budget, high profile things, you know? I always use the example of like Emma Stone, who I love a lot, but like she is, you know, she is not a better actress than Angela Bassett, you know?
No.
And obviously they're coming up in different time periods and like, but like actresses like Emma Stone and Jennifer Lawrence get to be ingenues, whereas Angela Bassett never got to be an ingenue. And that's just not something that's afforded to black actresses. And so they don't benefit from, you know, that.
I know nobody can see this, but I'm like nodding so hard to everything Louis is saying. You know, you're absolutely right. She was not afforded that opportunity. Her very first screen role, large screen role, she's a mom.
Yeah.
Like that's her starting point.
Yeah, literally.
So,
I mean, in Boys in the Hood, she's immediately cast as this, you know, senior person in life. And so she never gets to play, you know, these roles like and Jennifer Lawrence gets to play whatever the fuck she wants, like young, old,
right.
who like and she gets lauded with awards about it. And I'm not saying Jennifer Lawrence is bad. I'm just saying it's
clear. It's just clear the double standard.
Right. And literally after What's Love Got to Do with It, this Oscar nominated performance that should have like catapulted her into the stratosphere of mainstream, she still has to do, you know, like Vampire in Brooklyn.
Right.
And she's like a little blip in Contact, you know? She should not have been doing those small supporting parts. But like I said, and I think she feels it. She is a working actress. She's always been working, having to hustle for every part she got. It isn't until now, and probably because, you know, doing Black Panther and stuff like that, it's like that people are like, oh yeah, she has had this like long career doing lots of things and people know who she is. But like Hollywood is just like fucking stupid, you know?
Right.
They don't know what they have in front of them. They don't know what they have had in front of them.
I 100% agree. Yeah, it's frustrating. But, I mean, she's made the best of what she could of it. And as you mentioned, she's not pressed that she didn't win these awards. But, and once again, you know, I don't want to make it sound like she has spent her entire career not winning awards. She has been nominated 63 times for various awards over her career. She's won 16 awards over her career. So, you know, it's not like she's hurting for them, and the acting is not about being rewarded, but it is frustrating that somebody of her caliber is sort of consistently overlooked. I have told people that we were doing Angela Bassett, and for the most part, I get, you know, people seem to know who she is, but every now and then they're like, oh, who is she again? So
that's fucking wild. And again, like I cannot stress enough like how important she is to the Black community. She's won multiple Image Awards, multiple Black Reel Awards, and like that's her family. That's the people who like come out and support her. And you know what? Like, I mean, she's been nominated for a ton of BET Awards. It's just the fucking shitty reality that Hollywood is white. Hollywood's so white, and they haven't, you know, been appreciative of this queen we have before us. So yeah, take that.
So why don't we get into the fast forward?
Gavin, I'm so excited for her future. You know why? Because she has this little movie coming out with Michelle Yeoh, and I cannot wait. Gunpowder Milkshake? Where is it? Where is it?
You know what also excites me about this? Not just those things. But it is going to be the English language debut of director Navat Papashato. Now, fun fact, I was the first American to interview Navat Papashato.
I think you're the first American to say the words Navat Papashato.
He's an Israeli filmmaker. He co-directed he's co-directed 2 films, but the film that I interviewed him for was a film called Big Bad Wolves that he co-directed with Aaron Kashalis. And I was the first American to interview them about their film Big Bad Wolves.
Were you the first American to interview him?
I was.
Were you American? And the first?
I am the title of a RuPaul song, American.
Wow.
But what's great about this film, too, is, it's not just Angela Bassett. It's not just Michelle Yeoh. It's also Carla Gugino, Karen Gillan, Lena Headey. Like, it is
all
strong.
The girls.
Yeah,
all the
strong,
girls.
Tough ladies. And they're going to be kicking ass. The log line of it is, a secret sisterhood comes to the rescue of a mother-daughter assassin team.
Love it so much.
I'm very excited for this movie. It's supposed to come out this year. Once again, no movies are. So
no movies are.
Who knows?
I was like, where the fuck is that trailer? I need it. Yeah, I need it
exactly.
now.
I watched Scoob the other day because no movies are coming out.
You watched Scoob?
Yeah, I did.
How'd you like it?
I did. No, not really.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't know. I think she's clearly not done. She's on 911 on Fox. She's a producer on that. I think she's also a producer on the spin-off. Oh, the other big thing that she has coming out is she's doing a voice in Pixar's Soul.
Oh my God. Yes.
And so 2020, not a great year for anyone.
No.
But I think it's going to be in terms of these films are probably going to come out in 2021. Let's be honest. But this is a good time for Angela Bassett. As we mentioned, she has kids. They're teenagers. They were both born in 2006. So like, she's spending time with them. She's raising her family, and I think she's doing it right. I can only imagine what having to be quarantined with Courtney B. Vance.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's what I think her career is now, and the thing is, she has had such an incredible career. It's still going. I think 911 is a hit for as much shit as we're talking about it. It's on its 2nd season. I don't know. But I think also now is the time when, there is this groundswell of support and activism around recognizing these trailblazers as Black actors and filmmakers in Hollywood. There's a really great piece in the New York Times Style magazine. It's called T Magazine. It's called The Veterans, and it's her nemesis Halle Berry. Just kidding. Taraji P. Henson, Mary J. Blige, Kimberly Elise, who we talked about in Beloved, and it's just about Black women as actors going through years and years of being in the industry. And I think this is like, and God, she's right in the middle of the photo, and it's fully like she's leading the charge. I just love it. I think now she's 61 years old. She is doing whatever the fuck she wants to do. But I also think she is a big part of that is leading this new generation of young Black actresses behind her. And I love it so much. I just think she's the perfect person to do that. She sits atop the pantheon of Black actresses in America that are changing, have been changing, unrecognized for years, will continue to keep changing the game going forward. And like I said, I mean, she's 61 years old and is going to be in this like literal assassin kick-ass action movie. So nothing's going to stop her.
Her future's going to be great, and she's still incredibly young. So
I mean, her future is going to be great, but also the future is going to be great for all the young Black actors and actresses that come from behind her because of the work she's done.
There was a time where I knew every face, you know. I knew every actress. I knew where they're from, who they are, what they've done. And now when I have to Google them or look them up, or I'm not aware, I don't know their names, I know that there has been great change and opportunity made available.
Like, I literally have never heard one bad thing about her from anyone. You know, these are women who have had to, compete for scarce roles in the industry, and she, and I think we talked about, like, when Alfre Woodard and Viola Davis have talked about this, they're a sisterhood of these women who, go out there and play this fucking shitty Hollywood game. And now, I mean, Taraji P. Henson says in this, she's like, now we're more and more behind the scenes. We're producing the things that we want to make. And you know what? Yes. Like, I hated Otherhood, but girl, keep fucking doing it. Like, because women should be able to fail too and keep going. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm done with men failing. Okay. I just don't want them anymore.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I agree.
So, Gavin, I think that's a good place to wrap her up, huh?
So thus ends the tale of Angela Bassett, though she's still got many, many years of making art ahead of her. But for this show's purposes, we're done.
We're donesies. So thank you guys for listening. Gavin, where can people find us?
You can find us on Twitter at The Mixed Reviews.
We're on Facebook. Just type in The Mixed Reviews.
You can email us at reviewsmixed@gmail.com.
We're also on Instagram at @the_mix_reviews.
And if you want to subscribe to our show, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeartMedia, Google Play Music, all the familiar places. And if you're a listener to us on Apple Podcasts, please stop by and leave us a 5-star review and a little love note in there, because it's always nice for people to be able to read what you like about the show.
Me and Gavin
like reading it too.
Me and Gavin are romantics. We love love notes.
We do. Absolutely.
And just keep an eye out on Twitter for our Netflix watch parties, our poll that comes out. We have lots of goodies out there in the expanded Mixed Reviews universe.
Absolutely. So until 2 weeks from now, hopefully things will get a little bit better. I mean, things are getting better all the time, right?
Yeah.
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 Love you guys.
Thanks for listening.
Stay safe.
Bye. Stay safe.